South Africa play the West Indies in the second test, and day one has been completed. And what my analysis of it is was a good recovery from the senior players in the South African side. Now, particularly, I'm talking about the guys that have caps, and not necessarily by age. I always have to just come out and say those things just before I get into trouble. So the guys that are faced majority of the balls and that did really well to help the recovery are the likes of Dean Elgar and, of course, Quinton de Kock. Kyle Verreynne played his part as well in the middle order with Dean Elgar putting on a good partnership in the middle. But hats must go off, and we must commemorate the guys and celebrate the guys that performed well, like Dean Elgar, who scored a 77, and obviously Quinton de Kock on an unbeaten half century. South Africa recovered very well after being, I think, 44 for 3, and then recovered perfectly to end off on 200 and I think it is, let me put it on the screen, 18 for 5 in 82 overs. So a good recovery from South Africa. We're going to be talking about that on the show, and this is what the recap show is about, and we'll be looking forward to the day 2 action that will be starting at 4 o'clock South African Standard Time. So I think they're actually starting 3:45 this time around, based on what they said on commentary yesterday. So we're going to be talking about that, recapping the day's play on day 1 of the second test against the West Indies next. Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your recap show or review show. You can decide what you want to do and how you want to say that. Generally speaking, our review show will obviously be maybe after the full test, but it doesn't really matter. It's the same thing. This is just a small recap before the match starts. And obviously on day 1, I'm your host, Khalid Mahidin. This is Aditya, my co-host. And we'll be chatting to you about the day 1 action and be speaking about everything that's got to do, all the talking points with regards to that. Before the guys that are new to this channel, please subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell for all future videos. Of course, if you're a South African cricket fan, this is the place for you. Aditya, let's start talking about it. As I said, I put it on the screen already in the intro. South Africa 218 for 5 after day 1 at stumps. Dean Elgar obviously playing an excellent knock, and Quinton de Kock now in full form again, showing what he's capable of once again. Good performance from those two boys, but unfortunately, we didn't get to see the likes of Aiden and Rassie, the ones that performed in the previous test. This sometimes happens in cricket. People don't realize that this sometimes happens in cricket. It's very seldom that you're going to see a score sheet that has half centuries right down to number 6. There's normally 1 or 2 players that stand out. You will see it now and again, of course. I mean, there have been score sheets where 3 people score 100 and you get a massive score. But I don't think this is the type of pitch. It's quite a difficult pitch when you're talking about this pitch, and something that we really need to discuss. I think the way Dean Elgar obviously handled it, and you can see why Dean Elgar wanted to bat first on this pitch, because this pitch was made for him. That's the type of pitch that Dean Elgar can play his natural game and feel comfortable, taking some blows, being gritty. I think he did an excellent job. My surprise is, what can the other players learn from Quinton de Kock? Because, I mean, the man just seems to do things that others can't do on pitches. Yes, he played a little slow like the last. It was very similar to his last innings in the first test, the way he started. But when he's free-flowing, finding the boundary easily. I think that South Africa should get some props for the recovery, because it looked like we were heading towards a low total, not nowhere near to over 200 at first. What's your thoughts on the game? What's your quick review of the game?
Dean Elgar delivered a masterclass in what proper test match batting should be. And that 77 was worth its weight in gold, probably better than 100 when he'd score on another pitch. He showed us how to battle that pitch. When the West Indies bowlers were fresh, they were making use of the conditions, and We should remember that it had been raining for quite a while before they started the game, and that pitch was stucky, as Kyle Verena mentioned in his press conference. So very challenging conditions for batting, uh, but Dean Elgar absorbed pressure when Aiden Markham was out for zero, Keegan Peterson was out for I think seven, and Rassie van der Dussen made four. So that partnership between Dean Elgar and Kyle Verena was outstanding, pure masterclass in Test match batting. And Kyle was brilliant too. We shouldn't forget his contribution because the scorecard may read 27, but he's faced 89 deliveries for that. And they stitched up a partnership of 87 runs, which at that point was crucial. And in my view, it could be match defining. So um, we shouldn't. So I think this is exactly why on this channel we've been rooting for Kyle Verena for so long for him to deliver under pressure. And sure, he's made 27 runs, but again, like Dean Elgar's 77 is worth a lot more than that. Kyle Verena's 27 is also worth a lot more than that. And
Mhm.
Quinton de Kock ultimately came in, and he really has the potential to take the game away again from the West Indies because the one thing that we can see from the West Indies is that when conditions help, the ball is new and hard, they're excellent. But can they really sustain that level of ferocity through the course of an entire innings? We'll have to wait and see. As of now,
Yeah.
it looks like Quinton de Kock is taking perfect advantage um, of the West Indies fatiguing because that ultimately is the essence of Test cricket, right? You grind it out when the borders are fresh and then you cash in.
Yeah. So we got a guest caller. I want to get his thoughts as well. It's our guy Mpo. He's on the show with us. Welcome to the show, brother. Good to see you again. It's difficult to find time to bring you on, eh? Because you're so busy all the time. You're doing so much. I mean, guys, you need to follow his channel as well. You can just give a shout out at the end, or you can give one now out to tell the people where they can
Okay.
find you. Doing some excellent cricket videos, guys, as well. But Umpo, yeah, you can give a shout out to your channel, and then of course, I just want to hear your review. What's your recap of the first innings? What's your take on it?
Okay, so my channel is One World Sports Radio. You can find it on YouTube. We actually do daily alternative commentary. So we follow the game and we give you ball by ball on YouTube. It's like a watch along. Yeah, yesterday was weird because I didn't want us to bat first because I wanted the test match to be shorter. Um, no, but guys, let's be serious. There's a massive mismatch between the batting lineups. South Africa's batting lineup is a little bit better than the West Indies, and I wanted to keep putting them under pressure, relive the ghosts of the last Test match.
Mm,
But they managed to win the toss, and I was not happy with the shot Eden Markham played. I felt that it was too early for something that I get is instinctual, and I would have played the exact same shot. But there's a point where you kind of need to learn to leave the balls early, especially if the ball's swinging too quickly. And then also, like, I loved how Dean and Kyle batted it out. I thought Rassie got a good ball. And Kyle and Keegan will have to learn to leave balls outside off stump a little bit more. I kind of felt that they went in without a plan. And
mm,
last game the plan, well, everyone saw the plan was play leg side of the ball and wait for the bowlers to tire. Well, they tired very quickly. Shannon Gabriel couldn't do much after that first spell, and the wickets he got were freebies. And so, to a certain extent, I kind of feel as though we did well yesterday. We kind of in the ascendancy, but we kind of let it slip a little bit. I'm not a fan of seeing the new ball against Vian Mulder. I honestly think that's going to be opening up the tail. So Quinton's probably going to have to be aggressive tomorrow morning to try and push South Africa closer to about 300 because I do think 300 is the winning total on this pitch. I just don't know what our bowling attack's going to be if we're still going to be as consistent, and that's essentially how this game's going to go. It's going to go down to how our bowlers, if our bowlers keep the same level of consistency. If not, we're going to bring the West Indies into the game. I think Dean Elgar did well. He batted for about 200 balls, and that's what you want as an opener in Test cricket to try last for 200 balls, and he did that. Normally he'll get 100. That 77 is worth 100 and more, as Aditya said. And to a certain extent, it's gonna go down to how the tail can partner Quinton and how quickly Quinton can score or aggressively can score with that new ball. Because the way things are going, the West Indies managed to open up and end with that Kyle Mayers wicket at the end. And I think that's the disappointing part in terms of the dismissals. Like Kyle chasing a ball down leg stump, you shouldn't be doing that. Obviously Aiden at the top, Keegan Peterson chasing a wide one, being off balance. I don't mind him playing that line. It's just that he was off balance, and I don't think he should try play balls when he's off balance because he finds himself in trouble. And that Kyle Mayer's wicket was probably one of the best wickets of the day. To Dean Alga, he got one swing away, then he got one to tail in, and for as much as I've been hating on Kyle Mayers on my channel, that wicket was class. And so I think the West Indies have a way back into the game if they can manage to get Vian Mulder out early and also bank on South Africa not being as consistent with the ball, which we have seen over the past couple of years, how inconsistent we can be with the ball, especially a ball that moves a lot. Guys tend to get carried away with their lines and lengths, and yeah. So I just hope that the same intensity in the field is taken out, is shown today, because we can effectively close this game out today by getting in and amongst that top order and putting them under pressure with one batsman less. And then we'll see how it's going to end up on day 3 and what you need to do. But yeah, I was happy with the way in which they gutsed it out yesterday, because after lunch they needed to stick it out, and they did. And I'm so impressed by Kyle and Dean.
Like, I want you guys to go and watch Calveraina's press conference. It's on this channel. Go ahead and watch it, because it's going to teach you a lot about what our youngsters should be experiencing. Now, when you hear Kyle's his press conference and what he said when he spoke about his first dismissal in the first test, they asked him about that, of course. And he said that he's a very free-flowing type of batsman. He likes to play shots, etc., in domestic level. But that was the wrong shot to play in that particular game, and he needed to kind of play within himself and tone his style down and change it according to the conditions. That's something that you can only learn by playing in the middle. Now he would have gotten that instructions before he walked out in the middle the last game, but only for him to fail the way, or play that shot the way he did, would he realize, actually, oh flip, I couldn't actually play that delivery by being there in the middle and facing those conditions. Because you can hear the instructions all you want, but to train your brain to play within yourself is difficult. You can see it with Aiden. Aiden is a naturally free scoring type of player. He's a guy that has to really program his brain to be the way he was in the first test and the way he was against Pakistan away. To play that type of innings, he has to really hold himself back. And you can see sometimes in his game, he'll have like an outburst suddenly out of nowhere. He'll be like playing well, and then he'll just have a loose shot, and he'll be like, "Well, wait, I need to go back to what I was doing there." He gets tempted into it very easily, and he got tempted in it early on over there against someone that I felt was going to be a threat from the start with the new ball. We all knew Shannon Gabriel was going to be a guy that was going to threaten us with his pace, etc., and especially on this wicket. I wish Aiden was a little bit more patient in this game, because we knew patience was the game and the key to batting on this pitch. Dean Alga showed it, and Calveraina showed it, and now Quinton de Kock is showing it as well. It makes Quinton de Kock's position now, it makes me doubt maybe pushing him up the order, because we need him in that position over there if there's a problem. That's why finding the right guys that can play that more free-flowing game in the middle order is very important for South African cricket. Carl's innings was a very good innings, and I think that it's unfortunate that he played at a shot now down leg side. Now he went offside, and now he went leg side. So he's done both mistakes. Can only get better from that. What I loved the most about his press conference is that he said they spoke about Temba, maybe Temba coming back into the side and all of those type of things. He says he knows where he stands with his position. He's still young. He understands. He's had conversations with the coach. He's had conversations with the captain. They do back him, but he knows he's still young and he'll have many opportunities. And I like to hear that. That really gave me hope. Keegan Peterson, on the other hand, I wish he could have done better, but we mustn't come down on him as hard as some people have on social media. I think that's a bit harsh to give a guy only 2 games and then say, no, he shouldn't be in the team. I mean, we've been calling for him to be in the side. Now he's in the side, and now we want to call for him to be out the side. It's like too soon. Just like I think that we were too hasty to drop Zubair Hamza from the team because he had a better start than Keegan Peterson. But yet we're going to stick with Keegan Peterson. We probably are. And he's going to get another opportunity and he's going to get some time and he's probably going to perform and he's probably going to do well. And he's probably going to be the guy that's going to keep that position until for a couple of years, hopefully, if he does perform well. But it's like Zubair Hamza, I think that he needed an extra chance. I mean, 2 good series and 1 bad one, and you get dropped. It's like, that's unfortunate, but okay, that's something for another time. Happy birthday to Zubair Hamza, by the way. It's his birthday today, if he's watching the show. Let me ask you about those youngsters, because I'm going to ask him Aditya first, but I want you to weigh in on something else afterwards, after Aditya's done, because yesterday we spoke about how we're going to groom the next generation of test talent, and there's obviously talk about 2-day cricket being dropped in club cricket. So there's not going to be much rainbow cricket for youngsters to play. So I want to ask you about that and to weigh in on that topic. But Aditya, going forward now, do you think that Quinton de Kock should just come out and play the same game, just take his time in the morning? Because obviously over gate conditions, there might be a little bit of bad weather around and the ball might swing around a bit in the morning session. So do you think he should just approach it exactly the same way, or do you think he should just come out and try to get as much runs on the ball as quick as possible because he's after Vian Mulder, he's running out of partners?
Yeah, I think both Quinton and Vian Mulder should be cautious up front and just try to see the ball off a little bit. Thereafter, I think they should try to capitalize, because I think one of the weaknesses that we're seeing in this West Indian bowling lineup is that when they're fresh, they're effective. Can they really sustain that level of consistency and discipline for long periods of time? I don't think so. So that's when it's fitness, it's match practice, preparation.
Yeah.
Because as Mash said on one of our previous shows, that they didn't really have a lot of preparation going in, and Jayden Seales hasn't played a lot of cricket, so his body is not used to the rigors of Test cricket just yet. So I think age-old strategy of just grinding it out for a bit and then capitalizing on the weaknesses, because ultimately those loose deliveries are going to come, and Quinton de Kock is not going to miss out.
And that's the frustration for me. That was the frustration for me, that we didn't, that some of us didn't. Like Rassi got a bloody good ball. He got set up. Outswinger, bam. That ball angled in ridiculously, because it wasn't only, that ball wasn't only swinging, it was also angling with the seam remarkably. So it was crazy. There was this one ball from Seales that came around the wicket and he bowled to Dean. And the ball literally moved in the air, moved outwards, and then cut in. I was like, what the hell is that? That's not reverse swing. I don't know. That's like that wanted bullet scene when they shoot that bullet that curves. It was exactly like that. I was like, what's going on? Paul, do you agree with Aditya on the way we should approach this game?
I do. I think the bowlers you need to watch out for are Roach and Holder, because they were a lot more consistent. I think Shannon Gabriel's fitness is a question. He's gotten a night of rest, so he's going to come out guns blazing, but he never put balls in right areas. Like, the wicket balls were bad balls. They weren't balls that were causing problems. And the batsman he was causing problems with was Dean Algar, and Dean was leaving well. So the trick is to leave well as a lefty, and I know Quinton can do that. Vian's target for me today is, can you last 50 balls? If he lasts 50 balls, he'll have gotten through that new ball spell. He'd have probably he'd probably be mid-changeover, mid-second change. So you probably are getting Jayden Seales bowling at you, as well as possibly Jason Holder, who is still very dangerous. But you want to try see if you can't see Kyle Mayers. Kyle Mayers, Rustin Chase are the guys you need to attack. and the guys you need to do. If he can bat out that first hour, maybe even second hour with Quinton de Kock, because that's what we want Wiaan Mulder to do. We think everyone says Wiaan Mulder's got the talent to bat and whatever it is. This is the moment for him to show us. There's not a lot of pressure on him, which is great. So he can bat his natural game, but he must also bat with the conditions. Just like Carl said, you need to just have the little bit of discipline and understand that this is not domestic cricket, this is international cricket, and there's certain shots that you might need to put away, and you can only bring back later on. And I do think if he can partner Quinton for 2 hours, the game is over. The game, South Africa will be closer to 400, and you can actually even consider thinking about batting once, or even not batting fourth, and closing out the game with a small little total. And I do think Wiaan's innings to today, when they start today, is going to be very important.
Yeah. I want to ask you another question, because Temba coming back will probably come straight back into the team. Now, okay, there's still a long time for us to probably see Test cricket again. Till the end of the year, we'll probably have to wait. Hopefully we get a New Year's test and a Boxing Day test. So it's like an awkward time, this test match, because there's such a massive break, and there's so much other competitions and limited overs cricket that is happening in between, that you kind of start afresh again with the test team in a way, if you get what I mean, because it's a new test championship starts. And you obviously have to start the new test championship and focus on that and go towards that tournament and play. When Carl performed like he has, because what I like to see when youngsters play is how they've improved. Was there any lessons learned from the first innings that they played? And to me, I think there was. So is it Carl that drops out to the side for Temba? Or is it Keegan that drops out to the side for Temba? Or who would you go with? I know that I would like to see both of them get an extended run, but you can't just leave Temba on the side, can you?
No, you can't. Temba's your vice captain. So that's the big issue that you have. And so Carl unfortunately drops out because Keegan went to the West Indies knowing he was going to start, knowing he was going to get his opportunity to bat. And so you don't want to deny Keegan his full opportunity like you did Zubair Hamza, right? But also Carl knows that he was in as an injury replacement. That innings that he played was a similar innings to what Temba would have given you. That's Temba's inning. That's a Temba-like innings. It's not flashy. It's hard. It's grinding out. That's the type of batsman you want at 5. And so the question is, up until the selectors decide to take the vice captaincy away from Temba and give it to someone else, you're going to find yourself in a situation where Carl's not going to get that many opportunities, and he's going to have to wait for injuries to play games. He's going to be in the squad. He's going to travel with the team, but he's going to be carrying drinks like he was supposed to be if Temba wasn't injured. Yes, he's opened up an opportunity, and everyone can see what he can do. But when Temba comes back, unless if things change in 6 months and they decide that Temba should focus on limited overs cricket than test cricket, then that's fine. But the decision must come from the selectors. The way it's going, and from what Carl said, Carl kind of knows that when Temba comes back, he's not going to have an opportunity, and he's going to have to wait for his opportunity in the next year or year and a half to see if he can't fit in the side. And it's unfortunate, and it's a problem, but it's a nice problem to have for Mark Boucher, because you can see that Carl has the same temperament that Temba has in Test cricket, and that's what you want, you know. And Carl has a higher ceiling, which is true, but you then need to figure out when you want to activate that player with the higher ceiling and make that number 5 his own. If you don't want to do it, then in December, Temba's going to start at number 5, and Carl's probably going to be carrying drinks.
But Aditya, do you start afresh now, heading into the new, because our season is going to start soon, right? Our South African domestic season. Do you now start afresh and say that position is still open at number 3 position, or is it Keegan's spot and he needs to just get an extended run? Because what happens if Reiner van Tonder has another season like he had last season, scoring 900 runs? And obviously, Keegan Peterson's going to be a part of the domestic scene. He's going to be competing directly with other number 3s for that position now, because you have guys that have been coming along and have been consistent where Keegan dropped off. And you got Zubair Hamza, maybe. You might have a good season, and he's had more games for South Africa than Keegan has. So how do you, as a selector, how would you approach this? Is Keegan's chance cemented in this team now? He needs to get another opportunity to show what he has, or is he fighting for his spot now after this particular series? Okay, yes, we might have a second innings where he will maybe do something excellent, and that might change everybody's mind. But as it stands now, going into a new season, if we win this game in 3 days, for example, if we back West Indies out of this game, and we bowl them out cheaply, and we win this game by another innings, what would your take be, and would your assessment be? Is that number 3 position now open for anybody?
No, it's not. I think Keegan will get a longer run. I think the selector's focus really has to be on building a nucleus for the batting group and then working around that, because the top 6 need more consistency than they've been showing. And in order to get that consistency, they have to be selected frequently and they need to be scoring runs. So essentially, the selectors need to focus on ensuring that they can get the best out of the batters that they've selected. And in saying that, this is professional sport. There's always going to be injuries. There's always going to be, players sort of dropping out because of fatigue, or they're rested. So when that happens, the team management needs to be prepared, and that's why it's important to ensure that Kyle sticks around with the team. Reynald Van Tonde is a part of that team as well, and they get that exposure when the opportunity presents itself. I think it's unrealistic to expect that the top 6 will always remain fit, or that they will always be in form, assuming that they score good runs. So that to me is the challenge: how they really plan around this, because you do need to have some sort of backup, right? You need to prepare, because assuming I think the next Test series is against India. Okay, and you have this period where there's limited overs cricket, and then suddenly Temba gets injured again before the India series. Kyle needs to be prepared for that series, because it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be tougher than the West Indies series. So somewhere it's about finding that balance where you form a nucleus, but then you also ensure that your replacements are equally well
Ready
prepared
as well. Yeah.
to be able to combat that challenge.
So Aditya, I'm going to ask you, what is your prediction for day 2? How much do you think is enough for South Africa?
I think 300 is enough to win the game. 400 should really satisfy South Africa. And I say satisfy South Africa, it's because to instill a sense of confidence in the group. That in tough conditions, they can score runs on a difficult wicket against a disciplined bowling attack. So if they want to win the game, I think even 275, 300 would be a winning total. But if you score 400, the confidence in that group is going to be through the roof. So in my view, that's what they should aim for, because there's still plenty of time in the game.
And Paul?
I'm with Aditya here. It's been a while since South Africa scored 400 in an innings, and in a first innings to set a game up. And as I've always said, you need to learn how to win a test match. The first thing you need to do when you're batting first to win a test match, 300 is your minimum. 400 sets you up very nicely. You also need to consider getting the West Indies batsmen tired in the field. And Quinton de Kock's the type of guy. This is the moment for Vian Mulder. It's his day. This is his day. I know he'll have many more chances, but he can silence a lot of the critics around his batting. Today, yes, the ball's going to be swinging, but as Kyle has shown, if you are disciplined outside that off stump and you just wait for your opportunities, you can score runs later on in the day. You just need to stick through that first session. And if Kyle can give Quinton, be a better partner for Quinton, South Africa can do well. So I'm hoping about 350 as a first innings target. We're going to have to bat again. Probably we're going to have to score probably about 250 later on in the day, because I don't think we're going to bowl them out cheaply, but I do think we're going to have a lead at the end of West Indies first inning. So I do think we'll get about 350 West Indies by the end of the day. Hopefully we'll be about 6 down for about 150, close to 200, and then it'll just mean that day 3 in the morning we have to clean out before anything dramatic happens.
So, guys, that's our recap of the game, and obviously of day 1, of course, and what we think is going to happen on day 2. I'm just going to answer a quick fan question over here about the ICC Test final, and Aditya can correct me if I'm wrong, but as long as I know, is if it's the game is a draw, they share it. That's what I've heard about it, and so that's what happens, which is unfortunate. It would have been better if they maybe had a situation. That's a waste of time, in my opinion.
The team who finishes number 1 on the log should take the trophy.
That's another viewpoint. Now, I don't know. Well, Aditya, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think that's it. It is a bit unfortunate because we would like to see you've given the viewers 2.5 years of Test cricket, and then when it comes down to that one final game, you have a joint winner. That's not ideal. But in saying that, I don't know if the viewers have read Sachin Tendulkar's recent interview, where he said that one-off game doesn't really justify the hype. In order to have a real Test championship that engages everyone, you need to do it over a 2-3 month period, like an ODI World Cup, where all Test teams are playing in 1 or 2 countries, and their results ultimately determine the finalists and then the winners. So he thinks that is likely to gain more traction and generate more interest, and I agree with you there.
Yeah, but that's going to be a lot of cash spent in a short space of time. You know what I mean? Because those 5-day tours cost a hell of a lot of money. So we're going to have we need some rich sponsors there to get involved with that championship to make sure that in that short month period they can get an event together like that. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot for coming on the show, Mpo and Aditya. I really enjoyed chatting to the both of you. We'll be talking again tomorrow, 12 p.m. again, about what happened in day 2 and recap it and talk about day 3 again. So I hope you guys can join again and we can have a nice chat again. Also, you have to tune into our podcast show. We're not going to be stopping it. So we will be debating at 8 o'clock on Sunday evening. As per usual, we'll be having our podcast show. Please tune into that. I know that the game will be on at the time, but please tune into it and come support us. We'll be talking about some interesting topics. I'm going to be having some chats with the guys and see what they want to talk about. There's some interesting topics that we can talk about, and let's see who we can get on the show. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow with another recap show. Enjoy the game, guys, and enjoy your weekend. Take care. Peace.